So this video is the second in the Easy Sort series. In this video I'm going to show you how to assign drops, basically assign the products to the drops. After you have your settings and your categories the way you want them, and really every time you make a new setup, so why don't we go through that first. If you want to make a new setup from this setup, I would select this button here called Load Rename Setup, and that would save this setup to a new file name. We'll just select New Setup as one I did before. So if I give it the name New Setup and then I say Save the file name and Save As, you'll say, do I want to overwrite that file? I say yes. So what we did right there is we just created a new setup, and you can see it up here in the upper left corner. It says New Setup. That's what we're running. So if I want to load my other setup, which I do, I want to go back to this base setup, and you can see that it's comparing it now, and I'm going to go ahead and save and activate it. So now we're running this new setup. So after we have the cut points where we want them, one thing to make note of here is that these are in inch measurements, 100ths of an inch or 1,000ths of an inch. So it makes it an easy reference. A 10-row cherry is generally a 1-inch cherry, or pretty close. So that's what we show here is a 10-row as a 1-inch, a 100 or a 10.0. But to make changes, I mean, if in the unders, say we were getting too many large cherries in the undersize, I could just lower this number, say down to 3.3, and that would actually lower the cut, which would put more of the large cherries, or those larger cherries, up into the 13 row, which is the next row up. So, and then once we do that, we push Save Activate, and that makes the change to the grader. And that's the way all these settings are. So, same with color. You know, like right now we've got 50 and 50, so we're not really doing any color split here. The only color split is in the under. The dark and light are the same number. So if we wanted to make a different number there, we could lower this one and maybe raise this one. We don't really know what that's going to do until we put a piece of fruit under the grater and see what it looks like. Then we'd say Save Activate. So, you know, we just, a darker fruit is a lower number. Same in maturity, a softer fruit is a lower number. In shape, lower number is a more typey or less typey. Maturity 1, it kind of varies based on what kind of spot you're looking at. Speckle is the surface irregularities that we talked about. And then color 4 is brown, and it's the same, the lower the number. And usually this one you're working with minimums, like I only want to allow, say, a certain amount of brown to be on the cherry. If it's got more than that certain amount of brown, then it's going to be a garbage or a blemish. So usually it's a pretty low number, it's down around 10. And so we'll put it there. I'm going to switch back to this other setup because I did make a change on it. I realized speckles in here, and I've actually got 9 measures loaded right now, which is actually too many for this program. So I'm going to go back to load the new setup. And you can see that in this one I got rid of speckle because we weren't using it. The reason I did that was so I wouldn't have more than 8 measures. And that's really important because when you go into assign drops, in here you can only have a maximum of 8 to create the categories. So this may look daunting, but just so you realize, this is where we're at right now. And so now if we want to assign these categories to the drops, we go into drop assignment. And we click here. Now in here we create combinations. So if I want to put something in drop 1, say I want all the undersize, we'll create a combination and drop one. And let's say we just put all the undersize of everything there. And that's a pretty easy thing to do. We just select everything. We put it in drop one. And then we have under on size. And that's it. And then we say apply changes to that rule. And it puts all that stuff in under. Alright. And we only selected drop one. So now you can see, if you look down here, it's in drop one. So blemish is also assigned to drop one. Let's see what's in blemish. And so blemish, we'll put it just in drop one, and it's every size and only particular color. So we're calling blemish, this blemish anyway, everything except this split here, which is the brown. And the next version will have the labels in here. But we know that because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So we know that it is the furthest one over. That is actually wrong. Color 4 is here. I'm sorry. So we would select both of those, and we'd select call here, and that, and then we click apply changes, and that makes the changes to that class. Soft is a different one. Soft is all sizes, and soft here, and then you select what you want to apply to, and then you hit apply changes. So now we just put under, blemish, and soft in that category. And then split is another, that's what we were playing with, using maturity 1 to measure the split. So that's the fourth one over, so we'd count 1, 2, 3, wait a minute, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 to maturity 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 to maturity 1. Alright, now we'll put it in drop one as well. And we'll click that and say apply changes. Wait a minute, did I get everything in there? I think I did. Let's split. Yeah, it changed it, but it still says disabled. I'm not sure what's going on there. Now for sizes, we can group them together however in here. So right now I've got 13, 12, and 12 and a half, which are pretty small sizes all grouped together. And then I select, we'll put all the colors except under in there, and all the good fruit basically, and that goes into that rule. But that, and so, whoops, yeah, so we save activate, I just made the change there. But that's the basics of how you put categories, create your categories, and as you create them you select the drop that it goes to, and it puts those groups or that group into that drop. So hopefully that makes sense. When you hit done here, it'll say, hey, you haven't assigned everything. So it's important that in order for this to be done, you have to not get this text box. But you can go ahead and say yes, and we'll get right back in here in a minute.